Sometimes I just get super, super excited about conversations, but this one is different because Katie, my next guest, is a great friend of mine. She is the founder of the She Loves community and also director of Few Japan. We've hosted a bunch of workshops together and grown to have such a great friendship over the past couple of years. Katie Marple, welcome to the show.
Good morning. So nice to see you first thing in the morning.
Yes, yes, very nice to see you too. Yes, I'm super excited that you are on the podcast today because we have had, ever since we met, a great relationship when it comes to, hosting events, helping each other out. And, I've seen your rise over the past couple of years. So, but before we get into that and dive into all the work you're doing for the female community here in Japan, I want to know a little bit more about you because I think you have quite a well-traveled past, is that right?
I do, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you got here. Yeah.
Well, I'm originally from England, right? You might be able to tell from my accent. And I lived there and I was working for one of the royal charities. And I was managing their kind of community arm of their program, right? And at some point, I got to the high management level, and I remember having a conversation with my CEO at the time and saying, "Do you plan to quit within the next 2 years?" And she was like, "No, I've got no plan." So I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I will leave and find something else that I want to do because I want to continue exploring and
Mm.
reaching as high as I can reach, right?"
Hmm.
So I left, bought a one-way ticket to Prague with
Oh.
my boyfriend at the time. And
Mhm.
then that very short trip, which we expected to be 3 months, turned into nearly 7 years.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we just traveled around the world, living in different places, building different communities, understanding how different kind of networks and people work.
Hmm.
Sometimes in really crazy remote places like the Costa Rica jungle, and
Hmm.
sometimes in big cities. And then I actually came to Japan to write an article because I'm a writer. And so at the time, I was working for a company in Singapore, and they invited me to Japan to write about my experience traveling.
Mm.
And I was here for like maybe 2 weeks, and I absolutely loved it. And was like, oh, you know what? I am just gonna go to Japan and live in Japan.
Hmm.
So I did, and now it's been nearly 5 years. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, and your Japanese is incredible, obviously, for being here for so long. How many languages do you speak, by the way?
So three are in my head, but I'm not entirely sure what level of speaking I can do for Spanish anymore. It's been a long time, but
I
we'll
see.
see.
I see. Well, that's really incredible, I mean, going all around the world, you learn so much from each place that you go to, right? I've lived personally in four different countries. How many of you lived in, by the way?
Oh gosh, uh, maybe about six,
Oh,
eight,
wow.
eight, six, eight. I'm not really sure. I've lost count.
Wow. Why Japan? Why is Japan like the place where you're calling home now?
You know what's so interesting? All of my friends were really surprised when I decided to build home in Japan
Mm.
because they were like, "You are such a free-spirited person and like you run on love and good vibes, right?" And so they were like, the impression that they had was Japan was quite a strict country, very
Mhm.
regulated, and it is in some ways, right?
Mhm.
But I do also find that it's so easy for me to maneuver here
Mhm.
in a way. Everything works like I'm expecting it to work. I don't get any like sudden surprises. I understand what's expected of me and how to live well in this society. And so I really like the ease of that, right? So that's why I decided to stay.
Yeah,
And also I
Japan.
love the Japanese food too.
Yeah, the food is definitely great. The society is very easy to, integrate to. And yeah, it's just a place where you feel safe enough to call it home, right?
Mhm.
It's just like so easy in that sense. So tell us a little bit about, what you've done in the past and like what are you doing now and how that kind of differs. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the past, I was mainly doing work that focused around um, like building community, hosting events, measuring impact. I had one of those jobs where it was you have to do everything from creation idea all the way through to implementation and evaluation, right? Which is why people sometimes find it a little bit funny that I'm like one of those jack of all trades and do just a little bit of everything to get by, right?
Hmm.
And so I did that for a long time, maybe 10 years or so. And the programs that I designed are still running in the UK, so they're nationwide. And that was predominantly just for young people. Um, And then when I started traveling around, I got amazing opportunities to like help run and design a research institute in Costa Rica and design the operations for a volunteer program in Mexico. And when I came to Japan, originally I was doing the English teaching route, which I still am right now, right? My main is I'm an English professor at university.
Hmm.
Um, and that was great. I loved it. I was in Kansai for a couple of years and I had an amazing time. It wasn't soon after my mother had passed away, so I was like leaning quite heavily into the community to
Hmm.
support.
Hmm.
And then I moved to the big city of Tokyo and I was suddenly like, oh my gosh, I know nobody here. I couldn't
Hmm.
find community. I didn't really have LinkedIn at the time. I wasn't using it or anything like that.
Hmm.
And so I designed She Loves, right, which is the one of the community groups that I run. And then just from that, kind of steamrolled it into meeting lots of other amazing individuals and humans. Yeah, so I
Absolutely.
think I spend probably most of my time doing community and membership management now.
Yeah, what is what does community mean to you? What is that, what does the term mean?
That's a great question because I was doing a speech at the Women's Impact Weekend on Sunday, and that's
Hmm.
one of the things that I said. I was defining some of the differences between a network and a community, right? To help people understand that what you need and get from both. And I said that obviously for community, it means completely different things for completely different people. It could be your neighborhood, it could be a values-based thing, it could be people that can give you hugs in predominantly a country that isn't very touchy-feely. And I think for me, community does have a loose meaning and it has adapted over the years depending on which country I'm in, but it is a group of individuals that align similarly to my values, that are comfortable supporting and challenging me, and we like coexist in a positive manner.
Support is very key part of that, right? Supporting each other within the community. How do you, I guess, support the women in your community and how do each member support each other?
Yeah, so I think there's lots of like technical strategies that you can do to enable support, right? And a lot of it comes from value aligning and psychological safety setting and all
Mm.
of that side of things, right? But I think if I'm going to put it in the easiest terms, it's creating a space where people can say what it is that they want to say, like
Hmm.
offers and requests, and be comfortable doing that. We spend a lot of time at She Loves doing that, right?
Hmm.
And I think, to be honest with you, it's not something that is easy to build. It takes time. A lot
Yeah.
of community members think, like, oh, we'll get this group together and they'll automatically start working together and supporting each other and all of that side of things. But actually, it takes time for that safety to build.
Yep.
And sometimes people are like, well, it's been 6 months and nothing's really happening, so I'm going to quit, which I always think is such a shame, right? Because
Hmm.
I feel like people just think, oh, I'll do it for 1 month and then boom, everyone will be amazing and thriving and working together and collaborating. But it still needs a
Right.
lot of legwork, right, to support that.
Yeah. Building community is hard, especially, when you have so many different platforms to do so, right? You can do it online, you can do it in person. There's so many different options out there. What's your preferred method of community? Online, offline, and how do you, yeah, go about organizing that?
I am an offline girl. I really, really value offline spaces. I do enjoy online community, but I get more and can give more in real life spaces.
Mm.
I feel
Hmm.
like I can keep my connection to people longer and really zone in to those
Hmm.
conversations that I'm having. If I'm online, I tend to get a little bit distracted sometimes by other things, my
Yeah.
phone beeping and stuff like that. Yeah, spaces that are offline, I think I really, really
I totally agree. And being a teacher as well, each little classroom's kind of like a little community, right?
value.
It feels like it at least, and you're feeling the energy from everyone involved, right? When you do an event or you're doing a gathering or a meetup, it really is different. And I'm very big on offline communities as well. But, when you're running a business, when you're running, trying to grow professionally and help each other grow professionally, it is good to have an online community as well and to like engage people after events. And it's the thing I've been struggling with, the most at the moment
Mm,
is like trying to build that online community to engage people afterwards.
I think it's interesting as well, right? Because you and I have held quite a few spaces together in terms of like
Hmm.
workshops and training and different events and things over the years, right? And I think one of the things that I really love is the completely different energy that we bring to
Hmm.
holding community spaces, right? Like both
Hmm.
work. You hold community differently to how I hold community, right? And then
Hmm.
combined, I think it's really beautiful as well. So one thing that I'm hoping to see more of in 2026 is like collaboration communities, right? So that we
Hmm.
can connect some of these dots a bit better. We
Hmm.
definitely started doing more of it in 2025,
Hmm.
and that's something I'd love to see in 26 too, right? Like some more kind of community builders
Yeah.
supporting other community builders as well, I think.
Ac- Actually, the last event that I went to yours was about building online and offline communities, which I found
Hmm.
really inspiring. You had kind of like brought two community builders, one, our good friend Heather Dobbin, and then also Lindo,
Yay!
who's really good with online communities, right? And one of the things that you actually brought up during that event is that a really good community should be like a web. Can you explain that
Mm.
concept of like, maybe members being able to go to different communities and being part of that? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes I hear a lot of is the word bridge in Japan. Like we're a bridge between Japan and global. We're a bridge between this person and this person. And one thing I think it was in the fireside chat with Heather, who's one of my
Hmm.
dearest friends, and we were talking about it, right? And I think that I do like the term of bridge. It feels two way, too flowing, but I also
Hmm.
think it feels quite structured to me,
Hmm.
in terms of the expectation. There's a start point and there's an end point. Like you can't just get off in the middle of a
Hmm.
bridge, right? And so I was thinking if we envisage our communities, particularly in Tokyo and Japan as well, right, as a web interwoven with multiple entry and exit points, right? It
Hmm.
means that people can just dip through between all the different communities as they need. So one of the things I'm thinking about doing is mapping out all of the communities that we have in 2026 and looking at what are some of the access points and how can people feed in a little bit easier. So we're less about like this is our community and this is our community, right? It's more of a steady flow of people.
Hmm. No, absolutely, because people have different needs. It's not, and if they're not getting those needs necessarily from that one community, if you can connect with another community, they can potentially benefit as well. And it's not like, you're just kicking them out. It's more like, hey, this is open, this is available, this is accessible. I know this community builder, let's get you involved with them as well. So yeah, as long as, we don't cultivate something where what's called the takers, right? Where people take into, from each community and don't give back. Have you experienced this where people have, joined your community, whether it be online, offline, and then they've kind of like taking without giving back?
I actually, I actually haven't. I am lucky to be surrounded by incredible humans that I
Mm.
absolutely love and adore. But I also think I'm really clear about what the values are if you're joining community, right?
Hmm.
Because somebody said to me a couple of years ago, actually, like you should separate your personal and your professional values. They are two different things, right? It should be entirely separate. And I was like, I'm a community builder.
Yeah.
Like my personal values are exactly the same if I'm working at my university job, the things that I value are the same. Whether I'm trying to build community, the values are the same, right? So I think being really clear on the value setting at the start, like this is a collaboration. Like this isn't a give and take. If you join the community, you're part of the community, right? And so
Hmm.
actually what I've found in the 2 years that I've been running She Loves is that more and more of the women are really diving into that psychological safety and like coming to me and asking for co-creation of events if they want to do something, or I'll run this if you, Katie, if you need to nip out for 10 minutes, I can take over the facilitation for you and stuff like that, right? And so I feel like even for me, even as the leader, it feels really supportive, right? So
That's really good. Yeah. And it's great to be able to set those expectations from the beginning and have people really understand what the community is about and they buy into that vision and want to help, right? It's super, super important. And it's been great, collaborating with you as well, Katie. We've done a couple of workshops and events together, right? Our first workshop together was about negotiation skills, right?
yes, and I was late and you absolutely smashed it. You were amazing. Yes.
No, it was really good though. It was really good because we worked really well together really up until that point, and it's been really great so far. We did another one about nonviolent communication that was really well received. right?
Hmm.
Why do these type of things, why are they important? Why do you think they're so important to teach people?
Oh my gosh, they're so important. I think particularly negotiation and nonviolent communication are so important, right? For all genders. Everyone knows in the community land that a lot of what I do is women faced, right? And so I was talking to somebody on Sunday and they were like, they were surprised when I did the men's focused for nonviolent communication. And I was like, it's just a human technique, right? One of the things that I always think about, even as a professor, is that the language that we use and the words that we use are just what we've inherited since birth, right? It's just learned behavior. And then when we get older, we do have the options to start choosing how we want to use the language that we have, right? We have the ability to choose which words to think about, what would land in the best way, and how we can best support other people and things like that. So nonviolent communication goes deeper than I think like conflict resolution and tension resolving and all of that. It's literally thinking about how you can express yourself in a way that is easy for others to understand on a human level, like on a human needs level, and that has so much value. Like that workshop that we did together, I still have people talking to me about how they're using it in their day-to-day lives, right? And that's massive.
That's what we're doing it for, right? To have that impact, honestly. Yeah, when I first learned about it through you, I was like, wow, this is I approached giving feedback and, that type of conversation differently, but I learned so much from doing it. It actually helped me with a situation on my own. So I'm glad that we can still learn from each other and also work together to help educate the community. Because as educators, I think it's our duty, right?
Yeah. And I
It's
think that's it. I remember when you and I first met and we were just talking, and I was like, wow, this is somebody that the things that I was saying was resonating, and the things that you were telling to me were resonating, right? Which is why we were like, wow, we have very similar values in quite a lot of things. We should combine our skills together, right? Because they're complementary. Combine our skills together and like offer things. So that negotiation training at Google was amazing, for instance, right? And I really enjoyed doing the cultural aspect of it. And you're amazing at like the business and the startup side of it as well, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And we both benefit from our, combined communities also learning together and, the events that we do, I don't know, it just feels good, right?
Mm.
Usually you go to events and it's just one facilitator or just one person speaking up front, but when you have two, that dynamic is really good, right? I mean, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of multiple people on the stage in an engaging manner, right? I feel like a lot of the communities right now are feeling a little bit done with this passive learning, passive listening style of things. And so getting kind of more active participation into our education, whether that be in university or whether that be training sessions and things like that, that kind of two people or three people active like learning and then active participation to like really engage with what we're trying to teach, I think is really, really valuable.
Yeah, and I love the group setting. It reminds me of being in a classroom and getting people in group activities. And, I don't think a lot of places do that often. It's more so just like one person up front, everyone listening, right? And then
Mm.
like I love like the group discussions because my philosophy in the classroom is everyone in that room can learn from each other. They don't have to just learn from me. And I really loved when we get people to share each other's experience and they can comment and question each other. It's really powerful. I love in our last workshop we had the cards and everything as well, which was really cool.
Yeah, there's needs and feelings cards. There's NVC ones. I love them. Yeah, I use them quite a bit with my friendships, my friendship groups as well, right? If they're having
Mm.
boyfriend issues or girlfriend issues or things like that, we try and go through some of these needs cards. Like, what need do you think is not being met and things? Yeah.
Exactly. My whole strategy when I first came to Japan was to do these events to like, up my presence and personal branding, but also to give back to the community because I feel that if you give, a lot will come back to you. And ever since then, I've been getting a lot of, people, reaching out to me on LinkedIn for things and people who want to collaborate with me. And I'm curious, how do you approach, the goodwill aspect of whatever you do? Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's a great question, and it comes into like where is the paywall
Yeah.
essentially, right?
Yes.
I do believe in giving information for free. I believe in free access to information, right? I'm a professor and an educator. That's important to me. I do also believe in getting paid for what you're worth. And so, particularly as women, right, when I first started, before I learned like how to negotiate and things like that, it was just like, because I run on love, everything is free. Like, you can take all of it. I just want you to succeed. This is amazing. And a lot of the people I work with are also trying to build things, right? And then I was just exhausted because I was just giving so much out, which takes time, right? To so I have less time to do the things that I want to do. Now I have adapted and I'm a lot more particular with the people that I support, right? Like I don't go from 0 to 10, for instance, right? I want to see that people have put in the effort and put in some of the work to try and do some of the things themselves. Because sometimes is when I give information and then they just say, oh, I decided not to. Then I'm like, well, that was a
Mm.
complete waste of my time. It's
Mhm.
fine. So I guess I'm a little bit more, mm, how can I say? Not particular, but a little bit more focused on who I want to support and give my time to.
That's really great. And I notice the same where it's like, yeah, you can do a bunch of free stuff here and there, but then at some point we got to pay the bills, right? We got to know also what we're worth and communicate that to people. And I think people really respect it. Obviously the free stuff is great, but then when you are able to charge what you're worth, people actually value it more, which is, you have higher quality participants and things like that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about stages in that journey, right?
And I do think as well that is also a barrier for a lot of people, particularly for me, because my main driver in life isn't money. My main driver in life is like satisfaction. And
Me too.
so I want to do everything that makes me happy and feels good, right? So I was like, I'll just do everything for free, but then you have 150 people sign up and 10 people turn up,
No, I don't
right?
like.
And so then I started doing more and more paid things now, and I do try and do like tiered approaches so that it's affordable so that everyone can come.
Mm,
But I do think that once people have paid for something, you can then focus on, right, okay, how can I increase the value of this? What
yeah,
is the bonuses that I can give for this, right? Rather than trying to run around like trying to do everything for 150 people and 10 people turn up, right? It means
right.
that you can be a lot more intentional with the value that you're giving. I think
That's
that's
right.
really good.
That is right. That's right. And that's where, negotiation comes into play, doesn't it, Katie? Right?
It
Where
does
we,
indeed.
well, it's great that we, both learned that skill from that book, Never Split the Difference by Chris
Yes.
Voss, right? And some
Yes.
other things. You're doing some negotiation training as well now, for corporations, is that correct?
Yeah, I do. So obviously, I can't say their names, but there's a few Japanese corporations that are predominantly working with international companies, and
Mm-hmm.
we do negotiation, but we right now we're focusing on communication negotiation. So
Mm,
before we get to the numbers, or before we get to the contract signing, there was a big gap in terms of expectations of key information, key deliverables, and like how to manage meetings. So we're doing that bit first. And we've done some of like the mirroring technique and the
mm.
labeling technique, and then we'll get into the figures and sides and things a little bit later.
What people don't realize is that negotiation is a communication tool.
Yes.
It's not just for, business, it's for everything, like literally everything. And that whole part of building rapport is so important in the negotiation process. So I love that you're focusing on that first and the numbers come later, you know?
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about negotiation is I wouldn't say that I have people pleasing tendencies, but I do like to please people. I like to make
Mm,
people happy.
hmm
And before, I feel like I was probably scared of the word no,
mm,
right? Like, oh gosh, that's the end, and they're not happy with me. But actually, no is such a beautiful word because it's the springboard for all other options, right? Like, okay, this is your hard line no. Now I understand your line. Once
hmm
I've got that, then I can discuss in more detail about specifically how I can support you or what you need or why it's a no and things like that, right?
Yes, and it's really important as a negotiator to also be flexible. You could still get what you want, but it's all about how you frame it and how you approach it. Because when they say no, like you said, it's the beginning of the conversation.
Mm.
Everything in negotiation is about information gathering. You're getting more and more information. They said no, why? Right? Why is that no? And having that curiosity is very important.
Mm.
You brought up labeling and mirroring. Can you briefly explain what those are for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, so mirroring technique is a way to build rapport in your conversations. And by rapport, I mean to encourage your partner to think, this person understands me, this person is actively listening to me, this person is essentially in my corner, right?
Mhm.
So if we are in high stakes conversations or even just with your friends, you can use it all the time, but you essentially repeat the last two or three words of their sentence and
Mhm.
you increase the intonation and use it as a question.
Mhm.
So you just repeat like, oh, you're really tired, for
Mhm.
example. And then that
Mhm.
will encourage the person to give more information about that specific point. Like
Yep.
you just said, right? It's all about information gathering.
Mhm.
So that works really well. That's one technique that we use quite a lot to gather extra information, make note of.
Yep.
And then labeling is when we label how another person is feeling, but there's one really key point in that we can't label somebody else's feelings as you are because we will
Mhm.
never understand, right? You as one person as your own country.
Yep. That's right.
And so we always want to say, like, it seems like maybe you're feeling anxious, or it seems like maybe you're feeling stressed, or
Mhm.
maybe you're feeling disappointed, like this.
Mhm.
So it kind of disassociates the person from their emotions a little bit by labeling it as it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I feel like that works really well as well. It's a little bit harder technique to use, I think, than the mirroring one.
It is, right? Because if you label it the wrong way, you have
Mm,
the possibility of labeling the wrong emotion, and that could, spiral out of control, right?
yes.
I also loved, how labeling kind of connected to nonviolent communication in a way in the
Mm,
MVC framework, about noticing like certain emotions or feelings and just being able to remove yourself from them and, labeling them instead. Because once you label something, it actually lessens the effect of it, I think.
yes.
It's a psychological thing, right?
And the thing that I particularly loved in MVC that everyone really got involved with at the workshop is I feel like the human emotions, right? We have in Tokyo, we have some amazing like emotional coaches, right? Amazing people. And so they always say, same as me, like we have so many emotions. We're capable of so much emotion. And yet sometimes we just label ourselves as happy, sad, angry, right? Without really diving deeper into like the smaller version. What is the seed of this?
Right.
Like, what is the seed emotion that I'm feeling? Why am I feeling that way? It could be like loneliness or anxiousness or something like that, right? And I love
Hmm.
NVC for that.
Yeah. Yeah, because like there's anger, but then there's also frustration, annoyance, like all those things. Those are more detailed
Mm-hmm.
emotions that we can use to describe. Because anger is big, but then frustration is like a smaller anger, and then it's more detailed in terms of that. It might be more temporary in that sense. So
Mm-hmm.
learning how to articulate our emotions is very important. It's not something a lot of people do very well.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
The
a
feel,
learned skill, right? It's the
right.
same as everything. Like
That's right.
everything we're talking about is communication. The communication we naturally inherit is the communication from whoever it is that's in our society,
Mm,
be that family or friends or whatever, as we're growing up, right? And
mm,
particularly if people have had multiple family members or things like that, we just soak everything up, right?
mm,
And we don't think about the way that we're talking about things. Like the way that I talk now, the words that I use, the way I express myself is completely different from how I did in my 20s or even my 30s, right? The more knowledge and skill I gain, the more I can put it to good use, essentially.
Uh, for anyone who wants to improve their communication, what is one
Hmm.
thing or one key tip you would give them to do that?
Great question. I would think about, I would do a little bit of self analysis, right? In what situations do you think you communicate in a way that isn't putting your best foot forwards?
Mm,
Um, so maybe your day-to-day communication is absolutely fine, but when you feel threatened or when somebody disagrees with you, maybe you kind of clench but you can probably feel it, right? Your jaw clenches if you're starting to communicate from a negative space, right? Clench, your hands clench.
Yep.
I have Irish blood, so like if I do get angry, I have a good anger. So
Oh,
I have
okay.
to be really mindful about how I'm expressing myself then, right? So try to think of specific situations, specific times where you feel like you didn't express yourself in the way that you wanted to, and then try to flip the narrative in terms of how would you want to have expressed yourself? What words would you have used differently if you had the space in order
Mm.
to think and calm down, right? I feel like that would be step one.
Yeah, I love that. And then, what I would say is also listen more. I
Mm,
think, people forget to listen or they don't know how to listen properly.
mm,
They might respond, say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, yeah, this, yeah, yeah, that," but they don't understand what the person actually just said to them. So listen actively, and how you can do that, is just by repeating back what they just said, right? Like rephrasing what they said to them. Sh Looking at them with your whole body, not just your eyes, but also your whole entire body, like actually
mm,
facing them, leaning in a bit more, and asking questions if you don't understand something. I think it's very important, right, Katie? Like listening as well.
yeah. I feel like as well it's different since speaking Japanese
Mm.
people, their language and quite naturally uses mirroring technique as a
Yeah.
way to show that people are listening, right? So the more Japanese that I spoke in
Hmm.
terms of like repeating back what somebody has just said and things like that, it kind of bled into my English style as well, right? So yeah, I absolutely agree with
And also in Japanese, they don't interrupt as much as they do in English. In English, we interrupt because the key part of the sentence is at the beginning,
you.
right, in English, but the key part of the sentence is in Japanese is at the end. So that's why a lot of people don't actually interrupt each other. They have to wait until the end of the sentence. So naturally people listen more, but then again, there's so much more context at the beginning where it's like, all right, come on, hurry, hurry up.
It's interesting. One day in my class, I had recorded me and my friends having a very native level conversation, right? Just talking. I'd recorded it. And my students had become used to listening to just one English speaker talking and then they answer and things like that. And so I said to them, like, the program that I teach is at the end they go to Australia if they pass the course for study abroad, right? And it's like if you're making Australian friends, like the culture that we have is we will literally just talk all over each other. People are having multiple conversations in the same space. And so being able to really hone those active listening skills onto the person that's speaking to try to navigate the conversation is really important. And so I played, I think it was like a 2 minute clip of just me and my housemates talking, and my poor students that I'm in like one of the most advanced classes were just like, ah,
Yeah, I have no idea.
completely lost.
I have no idea, right? It's so hard, yeah, because if they're not used to it,
Mm,
it's very difficult to follow along.
yeah.
If I had a couple of Japanese students, and listening is definitely one of those skills where it's like they need to hear multiple times, in order to catch it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's good that, when you have students that are motivated to learn, it makes it easier, right? But Katie, I wanted to switch gears and actually talk about, what you're doing with Few, right? Few
Mm.
Japan, because that's a more recent role for you, right?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, Few Japan is an organization, an English-speaking women's organization. We're a membership community. We've been running for about 40 years, which is also the same as my age, which is crazy and amazing. Yep.
40 years?
40 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually didn't know that until I joined the board. So I'm saying it a lot because that really resonates with me in terms of like long-term impact on the
Mm.
community. Something still going for 40 years. Amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we are a membership community. We're run by a group of volunteer board members who are all responsible for a different area within the board. And so my area of responsibility is corporate partnerships and corporate memberships, predominantly because I did a lot of CSR when I worked in England for those programs that I designed. We all had to have corporate members, corporate partnerships to support them. So yeah, so I've been in there since I think October,
Hmm.
maybe, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving it so much. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, yes, yes. So we do lots of online, hybrid, and offline events for our members. We recently on Friday had the Shinenkai,
Okay.
which was awesome. There was about 60 people, and I was dying. I'm glad that I've had like 25 years worth of event experience because I was running an online version and
Mm,
an offline version at the same time.
okay.
And so that was a unique experience for me. And they involved a very nice glass of red wine at the end of it.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it's just a good space for women to come together. We do lots of workshops and skills development and deep dive discussions and things like that.
It's incredible. And, it just shows to show like how, over the past 2 years, you've been building She Loves in that community and providing value so much so that you got noticed, right? To join Few Japan. And now it seems like it's an organization that aligns with your values as well.
Yeah, it really does. It aligns really well. And also I love the fact that there is a difference between Few Japan and She Loves, right?
Mm,
Like I don't feel, not that I would feel conflict anyway, but in terms of being really clear about what I'm organizing and who it's for, that's very
mm,
easy for me to do.
mm.
Um, so for example, in She Loves, we have two events coming up in February, and in Few, I think we've gone crazy this month and we actually have four events coming up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
So it's the board is so busy, and I love it as well because we're currently looking at like how to streamline our processes, how to onboard members easier and stuff like that. So it's a really unique opportunity to make impact.
incredible. I wonder how you juggle being an English teacher, having this, your own community, and then joining, Few Japan. How do you juggle all that, responsibility?
Do you mean time wise, energy wise, or
Everything. Yeah,
it's
energy,
all?
time. Yeah. How do you do it?
I'm not sure whether you know this, but I did actually used to work in a circus, so maybe I'm just good at juggling.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, I used
Very
to work in
cool.
a circus. I am very intentional with my time. Very, very
Mm,
intentional with my time. So like
mm,
literally everything is planned out in my calendar. And I'm not really the type of person that likes to finish work and sit at home in front of the TV. That doesn't really give me any happiness or
mhm,
satisfaction. Instead, I tend to get home and enjoy switching my brain to something different, like
mm,
community building or making posters for an upcoming event or something like that, right? So I like to multitask. So my friends
mm.
might have the TV on and I'll be working on something. And I feel like sometimes people say to me, like, be careful, you don't get burned out. But I feel like I get more burned out if I'm just watching TV.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's
My
like
brain
brain
like
rot, right?
just
Yes.
stops working, right? So yeah, I definitely really enjoy being more active, like throughout the whole day.
Mm. You have been very active in the community, very active on LinkedIn. What was it? You were top percent content creator in LinkedIn or something
Yeah, top
recently?
5%. Yeah, that was the end of last
Congratulations.
year, right? Thank you so
Congratulations.
much.
Congratulations. That's incredible. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as well, but it's one of those things where it's a great tool for your personal branding.
Mm.
And personal branding is going to take you, you know, so far in your career. How important has your own personal brand been for you? And then what steps can someone do to take or improve their own personal brand? Yeah.
Oh, good question. So my personal brand, I do have a personal brand, but I don't really push things from my personal brand. My personal brand is I exist as a human, and these are the things that I enjoy doing, rather than like this is the name of the organization that I'm running or things like that, right? In terms of LinkedIn and personal brand, again, it's so important. So I try to post on LinkedIn like 3 or 4 times a week.
Mm,
Um, because I want to reach people that care about the same things that I care about,
mhm,
and also reach people that want to care about these things and don't know where to start.
mhm,
And so the more that I post, the more that I can outreach. But I essentially view LinkedIn as my website, as the face of who I am and what I stand
mhm,
for, right?
mhm,
So I do have a website, but I don't update it nearly as much as what I do LinkedIn because
mhm.
pretty much all of my dearest friends right now and all of my business contacts are from LinkedIn, right? So that seems to be the main base of everything that you stand for.
Yeah, I actually am in the similar boat. I have a website, but don't really update it out often because I'm always on LinkedIn. And you know what's crazy? A stat that I was researching is that, only 4 or 5 million people in Japan are on LinkedIn.
Five now. Yep.
Five
Yep.
million people are on LinkedIn, even though we have a country of 125 million people. We compare to the US has 330 million people, 270 million on LinkedIn.
That's
So,
insane.
yeah, so the difference there is striking, and I just hope that Japanese people realize that LinkedIn's a really powerful tool and has way more controls than Facebook does, which is their primary like networking tool uh, for networking and for building a personal brand and getting your stuff out there.
I
Um,
do also like understand their concerns as well though, because I live with a lot of Japanese people, right? And so a lot of them say the way that we use it and the way that Japanese people use it seems to be slightly different, right? So, for
mm,
example, I get lots and lots of messages. They're all messages of support or something that somebody read on the LinkedIn that they found was insightful and they want some more information. If I look at my friends' LinkedIn, it's literally just like all HR or recruitment people trying to get them to change their jobs. So being on LinkedIn in Japan maybe still has a little bit of stigma attached to it, particularly if you're
mm,
in a job and then
mm,
that's the face of LinkedIn, right? And you are actively receiving job offers and things like that.
I
It could be
see.
a little bit prickly for a lot of people.
I used to be a recruiter, so I know exactly.
So you're one of the ones sending the
Exactly.
message, right? Love that.
Exactly, exactly. But no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, LinkedIn is just a tool. It's how you use it, right? So I think that ideally, if people do want to build a personal brand, it could be a great tool to use it for. I get random, people messaging me on Facebook all the time trying to connect with me. And I'm like, I don't want to go and have to clean up my Facebook. You know what I mean? From like 10 years ago. All my drinking photos. I don't even drink anymore, so like all my drinking photos, all that type stuff, right? So
Wait, that makes me want to add you on Facebook,
ah,
obviously.
please don't. I have some pretty embarrassing stuff on there, but
Same, same.
you know what I mean? But yeah, like I think Facebook is a different tool in the West compared to here. And
Mm,
yeah, maybe it's
yeah.
making me think, do I need to make a separate account? I actually tried. Oh, by the way, I tried making a separate Facebook account and they're like, no, you can only have one account.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, it's crazy. I tried to use my same name and then a different email as well, but then they were like,
Um,
no, they
well,
wouldn't
you're
let
just
me.
obviously so unique that there can
Uh,
only be one in the whole world.
there you go,
Only
right?
Jean.
Exactly, exactly.
That is
But
true
no,
though, because I think sometimes when I like networking in the Japanese world, right? For example, if I'm going to like izakayas and stuff like that,
mhm.
and then quite a lot of the business contacts are like, "Do you have Facebook?" And I literally have to think like, I do, but
Right.
anything else?"
Yeah, exactly. Literally anything else, please. But no, Katie, it's always great talking to you, and it's
Oh,
been, really great to learn about your story. I didn't know that you lived in, Czech and all these different
mm,
places, right? That's so cool. We learned about community, negotiation, what you're doing with you, she loves as well. Is there
mm.
anything we didn't speak about that you think we should have spoke about?
No,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
yeah.
All-encompassing
I feel
conversation.
like we've covered everything, right? If anyone has any questions, they can just reach out and ask directly if they feel like they want more information or anything that they know I do that I've forgotten to say because it's the morning still and they haven't had a cup of coffee yet. Then
Hmm.
yeah, feel free to reach out.
Okay. So that's great. And I wonder where they could find you. Oh yeah, maybe LinkedIn.
Maybe LinkedIn.
Maybe. You also have an Instagram presence, right? You run
I
your Instagram
do.
account?
Yes, I do. My Instagram. Yeah, I have Instagram. I love Instagram actually. One of my challenges for 2026 is to try and upskill in Instagram content creation.
Mm. Yeah, I think
Yes,
you're doing
that's
it. I've been watching that over the past couple of months. You've been doing a great job, so keep it up. Okay.
thank you. I like getting it. Sometimes I get invited to those like nice influencer events, right? And that's
Oh.
always, I went to one on Wednesday before I went to a networking event. It was like a women's wellness and beauty event.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if I can increase the Instagram, then we can do more collaborations for She Loves as well, which would be really
Mm.
cool.
There's so much on Instagram. It's like this wild, wild west of social media. So I think, you'll be able to find some people there for sure. And a lot of people, especially in the women's community, are definitely on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm sorry, on Instagram. So
Mm,
yeah, because they're, looking at other things on there too. So it's a good platform to use for sure.
yeah, and there's some amazing women communities in other countries as well, right? So not just the
Absolutely.
dots in Japan, dots in around the world too.
Absolutely. Katie, we have a closing tradition on the podcast where the last guest left a question for you, and you'll leave a question for the next guest. Are you ready for your question?
Yeah, go
Okay.
on.
All right. So your question is, have you thought about your legacy? And if so, what are you doing to make sure it lasts forever? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. I actually have.
Mm,
And I have been working towards my legacy for the last 3 years. So I
mm,
started thinking about it 3 years ago, um, about what it is that I want to leave or say as
mhm,
like my lasting impression. And
mhm,
actually, all of my community work in Japan is moving towards that legacy that I have.
mhm,
And so I'm not going to give the exact details, right, because I'm still working on it. But my legacy is definitely around nationwide community building, psychological safety within communities. The next step that I'm really focusing in on now is building and supporting more bilingual spaces within
mhm,
that community. I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between the languages that we're using in this amazing country that we've decided to call home. And
mhm.
so, how we can build in more bilingual spaces. And
Yep.
also, my secondary step onto that is start sharing more about how other people can build community, how other people can build memberships, like the frameworks and the structures and the strategy behind it,
Mhm,
so then I will be able to answer everyone's questions that they come in on LinkedIn.
mhm.
Yeah, so that's a legacy that I'm going for. Definitely community stamping.
I could definitely see that being your legacy. You
Hopefully, I
know.
have enough time. I'd be happy if I'm on this world long enough to build an amazing community for all people to feel supported. But we'll see.
I think you definitely will leave a lasting impact here in Japan and hopefully other countries as well as you scale and grow your communities. And yeah, hopefully we both learn how to, even scale our impact online and have even big online presence and grow that as well so that, yeah, everyone gets touched by us around the world. So that's your legacy, my legacy, very similar in that sense. And, I want to impact just millions of people around the world. So
Yes, and
exactly.
you're already doing an amazing job. So thank you, babe.
Trying,
I
trying,
appreciate all
trying.
your hard work. I learned so much from you as well.
Trying, Katie. All right, now it's your turn to ask a question for the next guest.
So, in your background right now, I can see that you have a potted plant.
Mm,
And I'm thinking about potted plants need some things that they need to survive, right? Water, light, and air. There's three ingredients for success in a plant life.
hmm
My question to the next person is, what three qualities do you think you need to thrive?
Ooh, I like it. That's a really good one.
Okay, that's it.
That's a very good one. Love
What
that
three
question.
qualities do you need to thrive? All because you have a potted plant in your background.
Yes,
Apologies
yes.
to whoever gets that question.
That was a good one. It's a really good one. It's good to reflect on that because sometimes we don't. We don't really think, what are the fundamental things I need to do in order to
Yes,
succeed and
yes.
thrive in my
And
life?
thrive, right? And thriving could be like internally or externally or anything.
Mhm.
Your thriving could be happiness. Your
Love
thriving
it.
could be taking a shower and doing something you love every day.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Katie, I love our conversations all the time. I feel really blessed to have you in my community, in my life, and everything, all the work we've done together has been just so inspiring. And I hope that, we continue to collaborate over the next year and several years to come and grow on this journey of entrepreneurship together because it's rough and it's hard.
Yes.
But when you have other people there to support you and help you along the way, it makes it a lot easier. So
Yeah.
thanks so
And
much.
I absolutely value you as a professional being and as a really good friend as well. So I massively appreciate all of your support, all of your guidance, and all of your hand holding as well on this journey. It means the world to me.
No worries. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the Product Podcast, and I will see you very soon, hopefully. Yes.
See you soon. Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Product Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps this channel grow. And if you are a product manager or a startup founder who wants to share your story or some of the struggles that you've gone through in your career, then definitely reach out to us. We'd love to have you on. And until next time, happy building,